Peace and blessings to the house of the Israelites, those that were dispersed and scattered to the four corners of the earth. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to the family. This is your brother C, your big brother C, and I'm with our sister Y Society. Shalom, sis.
Shalom, brother C. Happy new day to all the people tuned in. Again, we're just grateful for yet another day and another week during this wondrous era, during this time that many of our ancestors hoped to see,
Yes,
wanted to see, prayed to see, and here we are for such a time as this, right? And
yes,
so I remind you all again of the ant use in the books of Proverbs, throughout Proverbs, and the warning to take heed to not to be a sluggard, right?
mm,
Look at the ant, oh, you sluggard. Search out his ways. Um, Not having a commander, but still doing a job. So I hope you're all well, and I hope you're all staying sane. A lot of times we talk about being safe, but are you safe in your thoughts, casting down imagination? Everything that may exalt itself from the knowledge that would keep you from perishing. So it's just definitely a great day, Brother C, and I'm glad to be here.
yes. That's what that was an awesome word. I want to start with. I got a couple of precepts that I want to remind the family of what was said to us because you did mention, and I love the fact that our ancestors wanted to be here. They were experiencing what they experienced, and they wanted to see this time that we are seeing play out right before our eyes. You can go and look at our catalog on some of the stuff that we said years ago, and it's actually taking place right now. And yes, the Father does have his people that he has put in position on the earth. But I want to read just two precepts, and then we're going to get into today's topic. I'm going to share my screen if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
We're
Absolutely.
going to get in. We're going to look at what the book says about uh, how we should be looking at things, what we should be seeking this hour. So, as you can see, I have up Matthew 6:13. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And I just blew myself up just then. So now it's going to be bigger, but in a way that I didn't want it. See, it's nothing like the CIA, the FBI, and those operating entities jiggling wires on you. But you jiggling wires on yourself is you're shooting yourself in the foot is not a good thing. So we get back to the way. Okay, so we got Matthew 6:33, and I will read Matthew, the book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 33. But seek ye first the kingdom of the Father and his righteousness. So, what is his righteousness? The book says our righteousness is as filthy rags. So, what is his righteousness? What did he give us? And his righteousness is LSC. His righteousness is what he gave you. And for those of you that don't know, LSC is simply just an acronym for the law, statutes, and commandments. That is the Father's righteousness that he gave you. And then read on, it says, and all these things shall be added unto you. So it's saying, seek the kingdom first and his righteousness. And then everything else that your heart's desires and what you're looking for and the work that you should be doing, and faith without works is dead. So you should be definitely working. Otherwise, you do not have any faith. If someone is not working, doing the Father's work, and that's what he put in you to do, to bring to the earth, then you don't believe, point blank, period. Now I'm going to look at this other verse because this kind of ties into that verse that we just read. It's in Luke 17:20 and 21. And when he demanded of the Pharisees when the kingdom of the Father should come, this ties into what our ancestors were looking for. They were looking for the kingdom. They were looking for Mashiach to do the real work, and the Father to destroy our enemies. He answered them and said, the kingdom of the Father cometh not with observation. So it's not something that you would be able to see and say, yeah, I can see it. It's like a mirage. It's afar off. Verse 21, neither shall they say, lo, it's here. Lo, it's in the Middle East. Lo, it's in Africa. Lo, it's in South America. Lo, it's in Iceland. Or maybe it's in Antarctica. Say, lo here or lo there. For behold, where is the kingdom? The kingdom of the Father is within you. Okay, so the Father told you to seek the kingdom, but the kingdom is within you. Is that a paradox for some, or does everyone understand what he's actually saying? And so I'm going to leave us with that. But that's a profound, in my opinion, combination, because if he's saying the kingdom is within you, but he's telling you to seek the kingdom, what is he telling you to do? I think he's telling you to be doing what you're supposed to be doing. If you're truly seeking the kingdom, what does that mean? That means that you should be doing kingdom work. That means you should have kingdom faith. And what is kingdom faith? The law, statutes, and commandments. What is kingdom work? The law, statutes, and commandments, and doing what the Father put in you inside of you that you love to do, and bringing it forth so that not you can get the glory, so that he can get the glory according to what's written. So I'm going to leave there, sis, if you have something to add.
Do the people watching believe what Hamashiach said, which is that and you, yes, will do greater
Oh, here we go.
works?
Here we
Huh?
go. Here we go.
Do they
Go ahead.
believe it?
Here we go.
I'm just asking a question. Type one if you believe that you could do greater works,
Hmm.
right?
Because whose mouth did that come out of?
Hamashiach. He
Okay,
said
so
that.
that came out of Mashiach's mouth, right?
Hmm.
So, okay, so if he said that, what was he saying? Let's go ahead and read it since it came up, because I'm always talking about this, and I always have discussions with the brothers backstage about this particular precept. And I'll read it, John 14:12. Verily, verily, I say unto you, and this is from whom the world so ignorantly called Jesus Christ. Some call him Yeshua, some call him
Uh-oh.
Yeshua, some call him this, that, and
Right.
the third. Okay, so we know you're not, you say, uh-oh, because you don't go there. We know
Because
we're not
listen,
talking about
no,
stained glass.
we're not talking about stained
We're
glass,
not
the
talking about the
zigzag man.
zigzag, man. We're not talking about
Right.
what was that? Charles Manson, that hippie, that dope fiend.
I actually say uh-oh, and it's funny because we were me and my daughter were on the road yesterday taking care of some stuff, and a camper was being pulled by a truck, and it was stained glass. They tried to paint it like stained glass. And I promise you, every time I do a show, I see something that reminds me of either that we said about stained glass or the zigzag man, because I told you I had saw that one trailer that
Yeah,
had the zigzag man on it. So this
yeah.
week we saw a camper being hauled by a truck, and they tried to paint it in stained glass, and I was laughing because my daughter said, there goes stained glass right there.
Yeah, I mean, we should, one of the reasons why it's emblazoned in my mind is that I had an uncle that had a church. Well, I had uncles, grandfathers, and great grandfathers. They all had churches. So now you get an idea of my lineage. Um,
Right.
so so one of my uncles in the city that we lived in, he had a church, and they had stained glass, and the stained glass was beautiful, beautiful colors and whatnot. And but behind it, if you look at the main one behind the pulpit, was that hippie in Greek garb. It was him standing up there, and I don't remember what he's doing, but then on the other side, if you were outside, they had like this thick, I don't know, probably 6 inches of plexi. It was bulletproof, so you couldn't even destroy it from the outside. You would have to come inside to actually destroy it. But yeah, stained glass is a real thing. It's a beautiful mosaic when it's done about righteous things or goodly things, as opposed to the imposter. And the book calls the book even says you worship in another Jesus when you're doing
Mm,
this. You're not worshiping.
absolutely.
So let's go ahead and read this precept that we talk about this all the time that you brought
We
out
talk
today,
about it
John
all the
14
time.
and 12. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works that I do shall he do also. So Mashiach said, okay, so the stuff that I did, and he's talking to his people, mind you, because he is who the kinsman redeemer. Let's not get this twisted, boys and girls. He's talking to
Mm.
his people because he is the kinsman redeemer. And who were his kinsmen? His kinsmen were the 12 tribes. His kinsmen were your ancestors. His kinsmen were the folks that got put into slavery. His kinsmen were the ones that were in the Americas that got destroyed and were shipped all over the earth as well, because it was a global conquest. So he that believeth on me, the works that I do, he shall do. But then he also goes on to say, and greater works than these shall he do, because I go to the Father. So because he goes to the Father, he has said, your big brother has said, you will be able to do greater exploits than what I did. It says it plainly. If you believe the words of the book, then according to him going to the Father, petitioning the Father on your behalf. Just imagine you have a lawyer, the Father sitting on the throne, you have a lawyer speaking on your behalf, saying, Father, I want Brother C to do greater works. I want everybody that's in the chat to do greater works. I want the brothers of Salt of the Earth and the sisters of Salt of the Earth to do greater works. I want Sister Wise Society to do greater works. Mashiach is, according to the word, if we believe it, he is talking to the Father on our behalf to do greater works. Now, who believes that? And who is willing to stand up and do greater things instead of just sitting around with your thumb up your ass, or sitting up watching YouTube videos all day, or waiting for someone to pop out of the sky on
You
some
know,
Mickey Mouse rapture? Go ahead.
I mean, I'm glad that you use that example of Hamashiach forever making intercession for us, right? Before the Father day and night. Because there's also something that we tend to over focus on, and that's the prosecutor, right? Who always lives to steal, kill, and destroy, sitting there lying, the adversary, the opposition, right? But we need to be focused on our talent and the greater works.
Hmm. Hmm.
Do you believe? My question was, after Brother C brought these scriptures out, talking about the law, statutes, and commandments, talking about, you know, what we should be focused on, talking about Hamashiach telling us we're going to do greater works, and then ever living to make intercession for us. Do you believe that you can do the greater works? Yes or no? It's that simple. There's no gray area.
Hmm.
Because the way that I have observed people moving in this hour, when we should be able to take over stuff, um, doesn't appear that they have the faith that they can do greater works. I'm watching some people scared, but I rebuke that fearfulness, that cowardly behavior, right? And I call you out, Gideon, wherever you're at, to know that you can do the greater works. It was already stated that you would do the greater works. Who can turn back the word of the Most High? Who can say no? It's not going to happen. It's already stated that you are going to do greater works. Come out and do them.
Hmm. Hmm. And you can't stop it because everything happens in the spiritual first,
Hmm.
and then it manifests itself in the physical. So
Right.
once it's in the spiritual realm, and then you see the manifestation of it, there's no way that you can stop it. Just like there's no way that the awakening could have been stopped by anyone. I mean, you can have people saying that they believe this or they believe that, and they can go and debate. But the bottom line is that you could not have stopped what the Father had put in motion, because he had spoke this into existence um, centuries ago.
Absolutely.
Centuries.
And it changes my prayer life, right? Just got to be honest about that. Not help me, help me, help me, please. But show me with clarity that I am doing or can do the greater works. Prepare me for the greater works ahead because I would love to continue to level up. Teach my hands to war when I got a war, my fingers prepare for battle. And that looks different depending on what domain you're in, wherever you're at, right? You don't have to arrive at some particular place, some societal construct
Right.
of, well, I need to be the business manager to do this, or, I need to be the team lead to do that, or I need to be this, publicist, journalist, commentator, social media influencer to be able to do this greater work. No, do the greater works where you're at. And then from glory to glory, triumph to triumph, you will level up to the place you're supposed to be. And that's why we go back to always the talents and how many were given and how many were committed and what the people that received the talents did with them. This is not a lecture, this is an encouragement. Do you know who you are? When you
Sad to
know who you
say.
are, you won't
Go ahead, sis.
engage in certain activities and environments that you have been, because you will know that what you carry is too valuable to be wasted on the dumb stuff. We just gonna call it like that. Do the greater works. And I'm just going to stop right there because I know we have a wonderful discussion coming up about Ghana and the reparations. But this is necessary because I think that the people need this infused into their day to day activity. When you place your feet on the ground and step up, Father, equip me as you have before time to do the greater works. Help me see
Yes.
it every step of the way. Don't let me swerve to the left or the right, but help me keep my face laser focused on the greater works and from glory to glory, triumph to triumph, level it up. Increase my territory and expand the greater work. And just start with that and you will see exactly what starts to change and manifest. Don't continue to act like a sitting duck waiting for, like Brother C says, something to crack out the sky, because even the leper says, shall we sit here and wait till we die?
Yeah.
you know so
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop right there because I can get deep into um this whole thing, and it's part of my heart's mission to equip and encourage people just like yours. So definitely needed to have this discussion first.
They know I've been on this because they get tired of me. They done got tired of me talking about it, going round and round about it. But at the end of the day, if you really believe that you are great, if you really believe that you are a child of the Father who created all worlds, who created this universe, who created this construct, all of it, reparations is a light work for the Father.
A light work.
A very light work.
It's
But
gonna
what
come, right? It's gonna come one way or another. Doesn't matter who tries to fight it. If we're gonna leave with the substance that we're supposed to, we will. We're gonna get the substance we're supposed to. And if that is under the codified word reparations, whatever it may be, it's gonna manifest. Nobody can overturn the words of the Most High. You can't overturn it. There's no court or UN body, international government, country. I don't care if it's the London bankers. Nobody can overturn the words of the Most High. It's going to happen exactly the way He said it's going to happen. But do you believe that is the question?
indeed. So I'm going to jump into.
Sorry, brother. See, I didn't mean to cut you off
No,
if
no,
I
that's
did.
okay. That's okay. Don't worry about that. We're going to jump into the article that we have.
Am I loud? Because I'm in my I'm on my AirPods.
Mhm.
So hopefully it's not too loud. I tried to
No,
do
no, I don't
okay.
think there's a problem there. Let me get the article set up so that we can take a look at it. I believe this is it.
Yep. Welcome to all of you. I see you love Yah 22222. Uh welcome.
Here we go.
Shalom to you too, and
Let me
all
get
of those that are watching.
get it framed properly. Shalom to the fam. And again, hit the like button, but then also point your family to it because the work that's being done is not being done by anyone on the earth. And so I want everybody to take note of that. Okay, sis, we're at the article, and I'm going to see if I can get it to become
Absolutely.
large.
So you're watching the Descendants. We have our Descendants weekly live where we are discussing the codified parts of what happened with the UN resolution around reparations. If you haven't been tuning in, definitely go back and watch some of those previous episodes that you missed because there's vital information, even though there's going to be vital information that can stand alone each single time that we do this live discussion. So as you can see right here on the screen is the Guardian, okay? And obviously you can see that it says Ghana to advance reparatory justice. Excuse me for my voice clearing. We have a fire here in Southern California and it's messing with me a little bit, but I'll be fine. At the first major gathering since its landmark UN resolution. Now, remember this UN resolution that declared slavery a crime. As a matter of fact, the gravest crime known to man, also declared that it was trafficking and there needed to be reparations, was led at the UN General Assembly meeting March 25th of 2026. We are now 3 months out, May, June, May, April, June, right? Um, from March, and they're already having their first meeting gathering to discuss the next steps. Now, Ghana led this and is continuing to lead this. If you didn't know, the representation from the African Union of, all so called African descendants or descendants of Africans or African diaspora is the language that is used, give them the ability to articulate what the asks are, what reparations should be, host these meetings. And if we don't challenge that they don't represent us and our voices haven't been heard, they're going to continue to move forward full steam ahead. And I don't want people in the end saying, nobody told us, because we have broken down the documents, everything that they're doing as it's happening. This first major gathering is happening this week, okay, from the 17th to the 19th in Accra. And we're going to go into who's invited, who's going to be there, and all of that. But as you can see this picture, go ahead and scroll down a little tiny bit. The little bit more so we can see the caption under the picture. The heads of state and participants from more than 80 countries. Were you invited? Just wanted to know. The heads of state from 80 countries, what makes them credible? Okay. They're going to be at a 3-day event in Accra to pursue actionable commitments to reconciliation and restitution. Now, I noticed every single time there is an article or something written about reparations, they change it, the language. Certain words become interchangeable. And if those are the words that are going to be used, we have to look at, is that what is in the legal framing? The legal language, are we calling it reconciliation and restitution, or is this what they're interchanging for their own benefit? And by the end of watching our weekly lives, you should be able to answer the question, for whose benefit is Ghana and the AU leading this charge? Because I want people to get out of their feelings and understand what the codified resolution says and what it does, right? And what else needs to take place. So you see this at the bottom of this picture, and I don't know if you could maybe zoom in a little bit more, but if not, I'll just go ahead and read it for the people. I'm going to be making several points as we go through this article. And if you need to go back and write them down and watch it, I need to be able to see the caption if we
Yeah, I'll
can.
get there. Give me a second.
Okay. So I want y'all to see this picture. This is the Osu Castle. Okay. A 17th century fortress in Accra built by the Danish that served as a hub for the transatlantic slave trade. And y'all see that? They're holding the gathering, the first major annual gathering to discuss next steps about reparations since the signing of the UN resolution into law at a former slave castle and calling it healing, reconciliation, restitution. Okay. Y'all, this is a former slave castle. All right, that's where it's happening. The conference features the event, especially at the castle on June 19th. I want y'all to pay attention to these dates, right? Juneteenth. I don't mean to laugh, brother C, but it's so blatantly obvious,
It's a
right?
slap in your face. It's a slap in your face.
Right. Go
You know,
ahead. Hmm.
well, I was going to say, if you look at this castle, and as I look at it, I don't know what used to inhabit it, and I don't know what still inhabits it.
Right.
But to go back to where things happened, it's almost like a slap in the face, in
Absolutely.
my opinion. But then you're doing it on Juneteenth, where most so-called Black people, African Americans, are going to be focused on Juneteenth and not necessarily focused on this event that's taking place.
Right. With these 80 so-called country leaders,
Right.
right? And so as you can see, the text starts to read, Ghana is hosting conference to advance the continent's push for reparatory justice after the adoption of the landmark, right, United Nations resolution declaring the trafficking of enslaved Africans as the gravest crime against humanity.
Stop right there.
Heads.
Stop right
Mhm.
there. Stop right there. Stop. I just want to point out one thing, because this will be the tenor and theme of this whole reparations thing that we're talking about. It says the declaring the trafficking of enslaved Africans.
Mhm.
Okay, so when they are declaring the trafficking of enslaved Africans, you would automatically in your mind think that this whole thing is going to be going towards FBA, ADOS,
Hmm.
us, Duxus, whatever you want to acronym, Negro, colored, moon cricket, nigger,
Mhm. Whatever type of
whatever
byword.
bywords you want to
Mhm.
use. But
Right.
it's declaring the trafficking of enslaved Africans. In other words, they're not talking about your enslavement, those are that are here. They're talking about the enslavement, or not even necessarily the enslavement, but the enslavement of CARICOM, the Caribbean. But what was done to Africa during this time? I'm noticing that the languaging is shifting from
So
each
yeah, I'm
generation. It's shifting. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, brother. See, the question then becomes, where are the trafficked and enslaved Africans?
That's not important.
But that's who they're defining. Okay, and that's what we have to understand because you, if you're at the helm of this fight, you're codifying stuff, you're hosting meetings, you're bringing all these countries together. Are you saying that the trafficked and enslaved Africans are still on your continent of Africa? Is that what you're calling it? Or are you claiming to represent the so called African diaspora that was trafficked through enslavement and are no longer on your continent? Is that your claim, right? The question has to be answered in the legal framing, because right now what they are saying is the Africans the descendants of Africans, and the African diaspora, which they are utilizing to define their representation of the so-called Negroes or Black Americans.
Which Ghana doesn't represent me because, as I understand it, Ghana was the seller,
Yeah.
and the different European nations. Let's not forget Portugal. Let's not forget Spain. Let's not forget all of those nations, Belgium, all those wicked nations who said that they would carve up Akibu lion, as it is named by some. So Ghana was a major seller. So that's just like if you have the dope man, which is Ghana,
Mm.
selling to but the nation, the other nations aren't Ghana's the plug.
Hmm.
Ghana got all the property, so Ghana's the plug, and then the other nations are, they're buying whatever Ghana got. So if Ghana got 100 kilos of Africans to sell, whether they be young, old, and different, then Ghana gonna sell them to, whatever nations, and then the nations gonna sell them to who they want to sell them to and move them to where they need to be moved to, i.e., if they need to go to Brazil, if they need to go to the Caribbeans, if they need to go to the 13 colonies, so be it. So then, how is it that you're gonna make the person who has enslaved these people, because Ghana was capturing the enslaved people, wasn't capturing necessarily people of their nation, right?
Right.
It was the enslaved. So Ghana had already captured these people, and then start selling them off. So how is it then that if you're going to arrest the people who were selling the dope, the Vatican, Belgium, Portugal, Spain, so on and so forth. I'm naming those nations for a reason because we tend to
France,
forget France. We tend to
Britain.
forget
Hmm.
Britain. We tend to forget how demonic they were. So how is it then that you're only going to persecute and put under spotlight the European nations without even also saying, well, Ghana, you was the plug.
Right.
So because you was the plug, you should get it too. So in other words, how is the plug the one that's leading and hosting and writing and saying everything when it comes to a reparation framework? That should be done by the people who were most harmed,
Right.
in my
The
opinion.
victims, right?
The
The
victims.
victims.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So the whole thing stinks to high heaven, but let's continue. Let's not me
But
get
you
on a
see,
on a
so are
tire.
you saying, Brother C, that the gathering that castle that served as a hub for the slave trade, they all got invited to the trap house?
Basically, yes. And the trap house is filled with every demon that's in there. That's in there. The demons is going to be jumping on people, jumping off of people, jumping on 8 people at one time.
Well,
Place looks
last time,
satanic.
well,
Trap house.
the interesting thing is over the past year, we have seen where some of the American plantations spontaneously combusted into what they turned into smoke and ashes, right? Caught on fire, whether it be an electrical one or whatever. So it'd be interesting to see what happens to the trap house. But I'm not making any threats. I'm just making a note. Um, so if
Well,
you
hold
want
on,
to,
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold that thought right there. So now I'm a openly admit that I did not set those places on fire, those
Mhm.
plantations. I didn't pray to the Father that the Father destroy them, nor did I destroy them in my mind, and then they were destroyed in the spirit, and then they were destroyed in the physical. I did not manifest that. Now, I may have manifested some other stuff, but I didn't manifest those things. So I'm
I'm gonna
not
plead
taking
the
credit for that.
fifth. I'm gonna plead the fifth on that, brother. See,
Okay,
we
that's
gonna
cool.
go ahead.
That's cool. You guys hearing this in real time, right? And
Know how when to plead the fifth. Okay, so this is
hey, you sound like Epstein in them. Epstein in them. Plead the
listen.
fifth.
I'm gonna plead the fifth on this one. Okay,
Okay.
but I'm just saying, like, in real time, we have watched um, the places that they called fortresses, plantations, et cetera, spontaneously combust.
I'm gonna
And
put
so
on
we're
record. I'm gonna put on record. Whoever did of y'all people that did do that, that said, "Father, make these places spontaneous combust, get a cash reward," and that's the greater work that Mashiach was
that's the
talking
greater
about.
works.
See,
Hmm.
let's tie it all back in.
The
You
greater
use it. You
works.
using what the Father gave you to do exploits on this earth, which is part of the reason why, if you notice our channel and the views that we get and the amount of people that they say are watching has dwindled down to basically a trickle because they
Of
hate what's coming
course.
out of this channel. They hate it so. So anyway, let's continue without
But
getting
that's okay
totally
because we're
sidetracked.
casting down imaginations and
Absolutely.
everything that exalteth itself from the knowledge that will keep us from perishing.
Hmm.
Right. So let's go down past this one. Now you're gonna see obviously some repetition here. Heads of state, because we're breaking down who the 80 are, heads of state and government, ministers, and here's the thing that I find very interesting: civil society representatives, because that's what our UN submissions are about. We are declaring that as Black Americans, we haven't had our evidence seen or heard. We haven't had our voices heard. We haven't been able to have a hearing or testify to our experiences and the fact that we represent ourselves. And all of those things happen through civil society submissions. So, how crafty is that, right? To say, we're going to have civil society representatives and we see you. We're not ignorant over here, so that you say, Ghana and the rest of the people involved, that you have civil society representatives there, and ignore the fact that we have civil society submissions to speak for ourselves, so that then you can go on record, Ghana, and try to say, well, all of the people that had a claim were in the room. We're not ignorant to the fact and the case that you're trying to build, right? And so that's why we build our own through our own codified submissions. And I want people to see the sleight of hand movement, the tricks that are being played. How many times have you seen this phrase, civil society representatives, beyond this first major next step convening, right? So, you know, obviously obviously someone got a notion, well, we better add in this component because we didn't expect for the descendants of US chattel slavery to start taking up their codified arms and challenging our narrative or fighting back. So let's go ahead and make sure that we have the people that we believe represent civil society, ministers, head of state, government, historians, researchers, and legal experts, representing more than 80 countries in the room, to converge in the capital, Accra, for this 3-day event. Okay.
Who are these ministers though? That's the would it be like this that
Al
what's that
Sharpton,
guy's
because he
name?
was invited to speak
Mhm.
at the day before the resolution was signed.
Right, I
You saw
remember that.
that they had
Mhm.
invited Al and
Mhm.
Ben Crump. And if you guys didn't see that episode, go back. We already covered that, right? So are you talking about those kind of ministers? Because the term ministers is open. It's not like, okay, we have foreign ministers or ministers of the state, or specific government affiliations. They've already stated that the heads of state and government, ministers, civil society representatives, historians, researchers, and legal experts — remember, they invited Ben Crumps, maybe they view him as one, right? Are going to be there. And if you could go back one more sentence before we go to this one, we're going to go do this shift. But obviously this 3-day event for next steps is taking place. Go down a little bit, brother C. Thank you. And it starts on Wednesday, like I said, from the 17th to the 19th. It is the first major gathering on the issue since the resolution was adopted. The conference will feature an event on June 19th at the castle, 17th century fortress in the capital built by the Danish that served as a hub for the transatlantic slave trade to honor Juneteenth, which marks the end of U.S. slavery. Wait a minute, y'all are honoring a U.S. holiday? What is going on, right? And so if you want to read that again, you read it again. They're commemorating the end of American slavery at a castle that was used to hold enslaved people before they were shipped to become American slaves. This is a slap in our face. Okay. It's not poetic. It's not a feel good moment. Let us take you through this hub and this, castle where this was for the slaves before they reached the Americas or other locations, but it specifically says U.S. slavery. That is not a full circle moment. It is staging. We need you guys to understand when things are being framed and staged. They are staging a reconciliation theater inside of the crime scene without naming it. Who else was in the room when the crime was committed? Are these 80 from the people that were in the room when the crime was committed? Why are they restaging this reconciliation theater inside of the crime scene? Okay. Now, I want you to also see, and then we're going to go to the other article, the expected speakers. Expected speakers include Prime Minister Mia Mottley of Barbados, President John Mahama, Joseph Boakai Sr., Natumbo Nandi Daitwa. I don't know if I said that right. Okay. And
Man, I don't
Before
care nothing about you pronouncing their
Diome
names.
Faye
I pronounce them
Ghana,
wrong on purpose.
Liberia, Namibia, and Senegal, respectively. The French president, Emmanuel Macron, will give a video address. Now, how many times has the French president went over there to the French quarters in New Orleans, area where, we know that there was some French territories for colonial slavery ones, and given some video addresses to apologize to the U.S. descendants of slavery? Hmm. So let's go ahead and go to the next article. And you guys see this picture of John Mahama. We'll go ahead and address it since we're on it, and then we'll go to the link above. John Mahama says progress will depend on dialogue conducted in good faith. Well, when have they had dialogue with us in good faith? Mahama is not neutral. Okay, he is the AU's official. Go back to his picture. Reparations champion. All right, President John Dramani Mahatma also serves as the person that is speaking and leading the charge for convenings and major next steps. This is not Ghana acting as an independent moral voice. It's not about morality for them. This is the head of the African Union's official reparations apparatus convening a global summit. All right. The AU includes every successor state to Dahomey, the Oyo Empire, the Congo Kingdom, and the Ashanti. So the champion for reparations title means Mahama speaks for that entire bloc, a bloc that never collectively acknowledged its own predecessor kingdoms' documented participation, and they're all going to meet at the crime scene. So if we could go ahead and go to the actual link that you're on before I ask you to turn back around. I want people to see that if you go to the bar where obviously the search term is there, it says reparations at the top where the Google search term is there. You'll see that it says reparationsmfa.gov.gh. This is their government page, y'all. This is their official government page a website that they set up to host and talk about these events. So you'll see right here, it says the high level consultative, the meaning everyone that's coming is going to be involved in consultation around the next steps to the landmark UN resolution on the trafficking of enslaved Africans.
Well, hold on a second though. That means that okay. So what I see here is a situation where people coming together to do a lot of talking. But when I see the word consultant or consultative, that means there's somebody getting some money.
Well, you see this little in the yellow block underneath the man's head. Highlight that. Okay. We need to watch these small print. Hosted by John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana and the African Union champion on advancing the cause of justice and payment of reparations. Now, didn't they just say it wasn't about money? It was about artifacts in that video?
That's what he said, and we got it on record what they said, folks. So if you guys want to go back and look at all the other videos pertaining to this topic and this subject matter, I recommend that you do to get yourself up to speed. Because in one hand, they're saying, oh, well, we don't want money or we don't want payment because payment, unless payment is not in the form of gold, silver, platinum, palladium, rhodium, nickel, cobalt, precious metals, gold, diamond, silver, AUAG, land, water resources, water rights. If you give me the land, I want the mineral rights underneath that land. No, what does that mean? So the payment for them, for this guy, could mean you come in and build our infrastructure because we are incapable.
Right. Zero of the descendants of U.S. chattel slavery, right, involved in this framework, in this so-called championship of what I would call an injustice, right? Because you don't have the victims' statements. Where's the victim statements? If you have a crime that took place, don't you have victims or witness impact statement? Something, testimony, a hearing. Okay. And so underneath the word Africans and above the dates, you'll see translating the landmark UN resolution on the trafficking of enslaved Africans into a common framework of actionable commitment for a just and equitable world order. Whose world order are y'all going off of? Whose common framework are you using? Because from the way that I have explained it, is that the US has denied their role and any accountability for the US chattel slavery system that they created. They did that openly and before the General Assembly, where the resolution presented by Ghana and the AU became law, international law. Okay. And as I have stated before, that unless you have treaties, acts, and agreements, compacts, whatever you want to call it, contracts even, the UN is not able to enforce these laws upon nations. They're not an enforcement agency per se. They cannot make America commit. So all of the people that are meeting obviously see a value in meeting to have this discussion. They obviously see that financial compensation is going to be a part of that discussion.
Can we go back to this point that you just made? I want to highlight this because we need to make sure that we keep highlighting this. Can you see my screen?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you see the nations and the vote? Okay, so let's go back to that. So although you had 3 nations vote against and you had Argentina, which is a hub for the fake Jew. And why do I say that? Because you had that bastard Peter Thiel run, talk about, oh, I'm going to run and go to Argentina because I don't like the way where America is going. But take a look at also those that voted against, but you also need to take a look at the abstentions.
52 of them.
But look at them. There's a common theme amongst them,
Hmm.
right? What is that common theme for the most part? What do you see? Tell me what you
They're
see.
all receiving some sort of financial aid from the government of the US, for one. The second thing is that we can see that they're white ethno states. I'm just going to call it what it is,
Okay.
right? They're white
Okay.
ethno states
Okay.
for the most part.
Okay.
So some people refer to it as, Western powers or European, colonies. I call them white ethno states because that's the way that they established them. White ethno states is not a term made up by me, your sister Christina, and it's one that you should look up.
Okay.
It
So
is an
here's what I want
actual
to point out.
term.
Here's what I
That's
want
who
to
they
point out.
are.
Here's what I
Hmm.
want to point out.
They're also enslavers, right?
Look
We
at
know
look at
that.
France. France abstained, but Macron's going to
Hmm.
be there.
Of course.
France abstained, but Macron's going to be there. And then you've got Fiji, you got Cambodia,
Bulgaria.
you got Bulgaria, you got Belgium, of course, because Belgium is complicit. But you also have Japan, which Japan is a trip because they're the only nation that we know of that's on record. We don't have all the records, but got bombed with two nuclear devices, right? So
Hmm.
they should be one that would want to vote, but this whole
Canada.
is not in consideration of us, and so they all could have voted yes or no because it doesn't matter unless it's a vote for what the so-called colored are going to get. Then
Hmm.
that's where it should come into play and make sense to all of us. But because that vote didn't have anything to do with us, then we need to be careful. And then, two, a lot of so-called colored or Negroes, I'm back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s in my mind. But a lot of you Negroes are going to be jumping out the window, hooping and hollering and saying, okay, finally, we've got this guy here, and he's a champion. Got his name
Hmm.
listed as a champion. When if he was such a champion, has he ever came over here and shook your hand or my hand talking about, hey, we coming back to get y'all, to bring y'all back home. We coming
Hmm.
for y'all because we did y'all wrong. So we want to be the first ones, Mr. Champion. He got an S on his chest like he's Superman. Mr. Champion, who have you reached out to? And don't give me Al Sharpton, don't give me Benjamin Crump,
Well,
don't
that's
give
what they're
me
going to
none of them.
say.
No, they don't count. When have you stood before the people in mass? Like how Farrakhan had gathered, did a Million Man March. So when have you stood before 1,000,000 men and apologized for y'all role? Because you're
Well,
not
I
a
mean,
champion. You're not a champion. No, you're just an evil, wicked bastard, as far as I'm concerned. But I digress. Now I'm gonna start going left. So go ahead
but
and
look,
continue.
on the 17th they're going to have high level or technical. Sorry, on the 17th they're going to have technical experts. On the 18th they're going to have a high level meeting, and on the
Technical
19th they're celebrating Juneteenth.
expert.
Okay, so they have this registration.
Oh
You can
God.
learn more, and we'll continue to go down and show the people because who is bringing this information out, right? Let's go continue to go down. I'm sorry, I went a little bit too fast.
No, I know.
To
I clicked on the registration because I wanted to see what
Oh,
they were charging, and they said, "Thank you
oh,
for securing the interest. Unfortunately, our event capacity has been currently reached." In other words, they got this set up where you could never
oh
in your
yeah, you
wildest
were only
dreams
gonna,
get there.
yeah.
And then
You
they got
seen the picture?
jackasses like him. This jackass right here.
Uh-huh. There's the mayor of New York, right? You
Yeah,
see the mayor of New York right there,
yeah,
right?
yeah. This
Like,
is
I want you guys to remember these faces that are involved in helping to attempt to rebind you, right? Through their contracts and written agreements and codified phrases. Okay.
and
Now
this
you
dude
see
just came
this.
on the scene. How the hell is he there?
It's a setup, brother. See,
Well,
this is
it's the
staging and
question is
theater, right?
rhetorical, but I
Right.
mean, and then you got this guy, this clown. Hey, but I tell you, he got on a bad suit, and the other guy got on a bad suit. I
Who are
must
these people
say,
in the background, right? Because they don't just put
I don't
people
know none of
in
these
the
people.
images. Let me
Yeah.
just tell you about media
Mhm,
framing. You're
mhm,
when you see pictures like this, they have strategically placed people on certain spots
mhm.
of in the audience. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you the way it is. If you didn't know that, now you know. Nobody can just get in where they fit in and squish their way to the top. There's people in the back that you really can't see their faces. Everyone sitting down, everyone on the front line standing up, those people on the sides, they're there because they're allowed or asked to be there. No one is going to just be able to push their way into a picture like this.
No, I don't even think you can get within feet of within feet of this setup. Was this in New York
New
City?
York, because
Okay,
that's where the UN
this looks
headquarters
like
are.
it feels like it's. I can look at the picture, the texture of it feels like New York, and then some of the people in the background feel like New York. This guy on the left here, this guy with the glasses right here, he looks rather uncomfortable and disgusted, like he got indigestion or something. I don't know, but he just looks
Mm.
like, why am I here around these? Why am I here around these common niggas? These niggas, I'm around these niggas. I don't care about reparations for these niggas.
Wait, look at the hats on the other side. What are those hats? Now those are Americans. Well, what the organization are they? Shriners? Mm. You know I'm messy, brother. See,
Well, no,
you know I'm messy.
I was gonna say 33rd degrees or some
Well,
kind
it's the
of
same thing.
Negro vibe,
Shriners,
African garb,
same thing.
Shriners, all of that.
Shriners. You call them. Look, what's the place where the owl people meet?
Um, Bohemian Grove.
Them is the Bohemian Grovers. We just gonna call it what
You
it is.
stupid. The Bohemian Grovers. You
Look, I
dumb.
ain't all about academics. Them is the Bohemian Grovers right there. Okay.
Hey,
Now I
I'll
want
give
you
them.
all to see the congressional black talkers are there.
All they do is talk. When CBC, y'all was established in 1971, and from 1971 to the year 2026, you have not done a goddamn thing.
Yeah.
Of
Look
no.
at this person. She excited. She got her kente cloth on.
Well, this one
Okay.
right here,
Uh-huh.
her glasses are tight. Hey, I want to say one thing about this guy though. This guy right here, hey, I'm gonna give him credit. His tailor and his choices of suits, he be sharp, point blank.
Mm-hmm.
He be
Mm-hmm.
on point. Now, you guys need to research these congressional black talkers. They should need to change it to the CBT, not the CBC, because that's all they do is talk. They
How
have
have they
accomplished
changed
nothing. They
outcomes?
have done nothing. The only thing that they're good at doing is throwing galas for to pat themselves on the back and to glad hand and to give each other kudos, but they haven't done for the black people. And I said, I bleep myself out on that. They haven't done nothing for so-called black people.
Well,
They
they know
haven't
when to
done nothing
show
for
up,
the
though,
Negro
don't
or the
they?
color. They show up to with their handout.
Now, what gets me about all of this, Brother C, is that the AU is paying so much attention to how Black Americans move that they know exactly who to go to get to take pictures with and to have a part of this discussion and exactly who to avoid.
I'm sorry, I'm stuck on my man's suit still.
You know,
My
he got
man be
buttons.
she be
Zoom
sharp. My
into the
man be
buttons
sharp.
because
Oh
the
my
buttons,
goodness.
those little buttons,
Whew.
y'all zoom into those little buttons because those little
Wee.
buttons
Them right
are
here.
the are the
Get in
owl
closer.
people. I'm gonna call them the owl people buttons. Okay. And I ain't talking about Al Sharpton. I'm talking about
No, no, no.
the Bohemian
Oh,
Grovers.
WL, the Bohemian Grove. Y'all know what Bohemian Grove is. It's in Northern California, near and dear to wine country. Actually, it's inside of wine country. Most
Now
people
you
say.
see on top of the boats, right? There's a picture of him again with another legislator right on top of the boats. You see it? The
Right
picture of
here?
him in it. Nope, on the one directly on top of the chart where the votes are.
Right
So
here.
yes, zoom into that one. Okay. Like I said, like I said. You guys need to be paying attention, read the captions. These things are taking place in a way that is theatrics and staging. They're also taking place bluntly in front of your face. Okay. Pay attention to everything that you see. I don't want to have to teach you how to, you know, investigate things, but at the same time, you do need to be paying attention to who's in a picture, who's cropped in and cropped out. What do they have on their buttons? It's kind of like, protesters wearing T-shirts, right? It's a lot of information that could come off of a button. All right. So we'll just go ahead and continue to look through this website. Obviously, Al Sharpton's being held to something. You see right here where it says who will attend. The conference convenes a broad multi-stakeholder. Do y'all know what that means when they call them a stakeholder? What is a stakeholder, right? What is a stakeholder? A stakeholder is any individual, group, or organization that can affect, being affected by, or have a vested interest in the actions, the outcome, and the policy decision. Now, that is legal terminology, and you will see it in policy frameworks. So, these are the people that they believe have a vested interest in the outcome or the decisions that are made with regards to reparations. Okay. So you see the international organization. Now, here we have it again, right in your face. Diaspora representatives. Brother C, did you take a survey? Because I don't remember being, agreeable to being called the diaspora and then having representatives at this location.
I did. I actually got a survey in my email.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What kind of survey is that?
There's a survey that said FBA, DUCS, ADOS, colored Negroes can all go to hell because you ain't getting no reparations. That's the email that I got.
So I want y'all to see how they put it in the sentence. Diaspora, you play too much. But I know you serious too, though.
Yeah.
Diaspora representatives, legal expert, and here we have again civil society and scholars in a unified call to action. Now, if you look at the first box, invited leaders and their delegations from across Africa, the Caribbean, and diaspora nations. See, that term diaspora allows them to do a lot, especially if we don't challenge it. Invited member states, African Union heads of states, CARICOM, the Caribbean Community heads of government, international organizations, multilateral bodies. This is box two, with a direct mandate on human rights, development, and reparatory justice. We didn't even have any say in the reparatory justice, right? So they're going to have UN representatives. I wonder if they're going to talk about our submissions, Brother C.
Well, I'll say this: the submissions that the family has done is the reason why they're such on an accelerated pace, and they're scrambling because your submissions, you the people who have submitted, have put them in a legal box.
Mhm.
So that's why you're seeing all of these. They've never moved this fast on anything
This
before.
is
So why are they
fast to
moving so
gather all
fast
these
right now?
people.
Yeah.
This is fast. You have the UN representatives, the African Union, UNESCO, and UNDP, CLAC, CARICOM Reparations Committee. Now, I want y'all to pay attention, and I clapped on that. Yes, you heard me clap, to the legislative and civil societies. Because remember, I said our filings are under civil society filings because that's the way they have to be codified under the UN rules. So the legislative and civil societies, parliamentarians, diaspora advocates, and civil society organizations driving policy change. So you have the Congressional Black Caucus. They're gonna be there. They're gonna attend the NAACP. Now, when is the last time um, the NAACP has defended your cause, spoken for you? I just want to know if you're watching this. Do you know? Do they speak for us?
Well, they name tells you who they speak for.
Oh, go ahead and tell me.
They talk about colored peoples. Okay, so colored peoples is the term that everybody who's not white.
Mm,
Okay, so if you not white, then you fit into this basket. The NAACP have never stood on no kind of business for no black people ever in the history of their existence. They have never done nothing for black people in the history of their existence, by and large. The NAACP, Congressional Black Talkers, NAN, and the Action League or the Justice League, whomever they want to
whoever.
call themselves, have done nothing for black people whatsoever since their existence. They nothing but a bunch of boule bobs and boule betties. Point
I
blank,
saw
period.
I saw a mug once that broke down the NAACP as the Negroes always asking for Caucasian permission. So,
Well, the boule states in their bylaws and in their sheet. I saw the sheet where they say that they're beholden to the king, and so to them the king is Charlie in them, right?
mm,
So because the king is Charlie in them in their mind, they will always be beholden to them. So you're not beholden to the people. You're not beholden to those who were harmed and who have been hurt and who are or have been free. According to the book, they have been already set free. So we
hmm
really don't need, we don't, to do the greater work, we really don't need none of these organizations.
mm-mm. I just want to show you. I want to show the people who their actual real time on the earth adversaries are.
Right here in this list right here, your real tire adversaries is the matter of fact, I'm gonna be real. All of these right here is your adversaries. Every one of them. There's not one system, organization, construct, nation, structure, any of that is for your turn. Wake up. And I think that by and large, our people have woken up to the fact that these organizations right here have been in existence and haven't done nothing for you all of this time. So if they haven't done nothing for you, then who's going to do it?
Right. And I always say, people say you will know the truth. Obviously, the book says you will know the truth and the truth will set you free. But what are you free to do? Ask the question, because if these people still have the audacity to continue to move full steam ahead, even though we have woken up to the fact that they're not for our turn, right? Colossians 2 and 14 says, blotting out the handwriting of ordinances that was against
Against
us,
us.
which was contrary to us,
Hmm.
and took it out of the way, nailing it to the cross, which we
Hmm.
know, as the tree.
Hmm.
You call it the lynching tree if you want,
Book say he was
right?
hung on a tree. That's what the
Right.
book say. So
And
to
so,
me, that's how they did our people. Continue.
so, you know, for them to then boldly engage them, knowing they're not for our turn, then it shows you the staging that is happening. The civil society organizations is not going to list us, even though we have declared ourselves under the civil society rules that are determined under international law and governing bodies and civil society organizations. The submissions have done that. And then you have activists and the diaspora representatives. Well, who in the heck are they?
The zigzag man
Right?
now. The zigzag man now. Here's what's fascinating to me though, as I was sitting there thinking as you were talking. You got all of these big YouTube channels, all of these big muckety muck YouTubers and influencers and this, that, and the third. And not now one of them is bringing out this information. Everybody's just sitting on the sidelines, clapping and patting themselves on the back, thinking that this is a good thing. And it's not a good thing. Pilot J-AV8, we're gonna put that post up in a moment and we'll discuss that. Go ahead, sis.
Yeah. All they see is money. They don't see us. Agreed. Okay. But what we're saying is that we are no longer moving the same. So where there are codified actions, we are codifying our opposition and challenge to those actions. There's a reason to move in that way, because they're never going to be able to say that we didn't formally contest the rules of law that they're applying. Okay. um it, and here you have this category of experts and academics, legal scholars, historians, researchers, providing the intellectual architecture for reparations frameworks. All right. So you want to go down a little bit and then we'll go on with the article. But I needed you guys to see this happening right in your face. Registration been closed because they already knew who they was going to let in and who they weren't. And they definitely wasn't fit to let us in. I laugh, but I'm for real. I mean, if you think about it, we weren't gonna be the ones invited and the ones in the room because we carry too much truth and righteousness and actual justice with us. The question that I always ask during this time that we're having this discussion is what makes these people the credible representatives and authority on this matter of reparations? What makes them so credible that they're going to be the ones putting themselves in charge?
Yeah, it's a way to, in my mind, it's a way to control the narrative and to kind of skew what really happened. But then also, what I also see is that this is a way to for Africa to build themselves and to enrich it, which is, to me, that's fascinating because from how I understood Africa to be, it's a rich land of mineral resources, diamond, gold, and all of the things I named earlier: platinum, palladium, rhodium, silver, Ag, gold, Au. I like saying Ag and Au because that's the
Hmm.
periodic table terms for silver and gold, right?
Ain't
And
that
then the
something?
land, and then the mineral
You
rights. So
think
you're
that we
rich
don't
in those
believe in
things.
coincidences, so why do you think they chose that?
You're
Right.
rich in those things. You're rich in those things. So every and all the nation, and you're rich in rare earths too. Don't
Hmm.
think for 1 minute that when China sells those rare earths to the United States, you know that China has been selling rare earths to the United States so that they can build their missiles.
Right.
You can't build these missiles that cost millions of dollars without these rare earths. But China is not mining them from China. And this is what's not said. China mines them in Africa and then they sell them to countries that need them.
Last time I checked, Africa didn't even rule Africa. Anyway,
Well, I mean,
so
and
that's
then
what they
they're doing
claim.
a, but see, here's the fallacy in all of this. They want reparatory justice when they should be the first ones that step out and say, "Hey, look, we want to repair you, brothers and sisters that were taken." Now, just as a caveat, and
Did
this is
they
something
ever
that
send real quick while you're saying that they want to be the ones to repair, right? Have you ever known them other than these claims about come home and welcome back to Africa to help us, we need more labor, whatever. Um did they ever send any soldiers, troops, boats even to come look for us?
no, and that's what I ask them when they come over here. I always ask them, "Hey, so how come y'all didn't come back and reach back for us? How come you guys didn't say, hey, brother, you are my brother. We'll come back to get you. We'll bring you back home where you belong, brother. We bring you back." So what I was gonna say was they've never done that, and that's
Mm,
kind of important if you're talking about justice and repairing because our DNA carries a lot of trauma. And I say this all the time. The US really, these you got people in the US that these accelerationists and these white
mm-hmm.
nationalists that they want a civil war to happen here. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna go on record as saying it would not go the way that you plan because first of all, the father rocking out with his sons and daughters that are here right now.
Absolutely.
It's not going to go the way that you planned and the way that you think. And mind you, that this new generation, what you call YNs, they're a
Mm-hmm.
different brand. Now, I'm an old head.
Whole different.
These YNs is a different brand. Wait until the father flipped their mind to say that, okay, you know what? It's time out for us. Stop going after each other. y'all gonna
Hmm.
be in trouble.
Right.
But y'all already in trouble anyway. But y'all gonna be in
Already.
definite trouble. Can we do this? Can we address Shalom Yasadik? How you doing, brother? Hope all is well. Can we address this comment by I said Pilot J, and I said we was going to address his comment. I want you to look at this and because this is news to me. Hey, Pilot J, Shalom, peace and blessings to you, brother. Hope you're well. And take a look at this. Federal government seeks to halt the first U.S. reparations program for Black people today. Look it up on AP. It's regarding redlining in Illinois.
Okay. Yes, we can. Do you want to go over to that so we can speak
No,
on that?
I just wanted to, and I'm sure you're aware about it. I don't want to die. I don't want to deflect away from what we're talking about. Maybe we pick this up next Wednesday. But
Well, I want to
give
say
me a.
something briefly. I want to
I
say
was going to say,
something
give me a briefer
briefly.
on it. I
Okay.
appreciate you.
So basically, what is going on is that the federal government sought to halt it by, you know, asking a judge, the United States first reparations program that offered Black people in a small Illinois city $25,000 for 20th century race based housing discrimination. They, joined in an existing lawsuit that called the program unconstitutional. The reason why they continue to be able to federally intervene and call these things unconstitutional is because they're programs. We're not looking for a program. I need people to understand this. When you have a crime that is committed, the way that the law works is that either the criminal is charged with that crime. Obviously, they will have a trial and et cetera, whether they're guilty or innocent. We've seen that playing out several times. That's the way that it would move through criminal proceedings. But then there's also what we call a civil action, civil tort claim. Okay, when you have a harm, injury, damage is sought that has to be done through the civil courts. If there were a crime, they could have a criminal charge in addition to restitution, but then also in addition to a civil tort claim. I got to say that. So, say for instance, you get into a car accident. I'm gonna continue to use this because it's the most simple way to explain a civil tort and injury, harm, and damage is sought. If you get into a car accident, the person responsible for that accident, if they harm you, injure you in any way, those things have to be evaluated and then compensated based on the harm and injury. Your car gets damaged, totaled. Okay, the person responsible has to pay those damages. All right. Typically, those transactions are happening between insurance companies. If a person is uninsured, they can be held liable by the civil courts under the US legal construct. So, what we are saying is that either there is a criminal remedy that has to exist for the crime that was committed, or a civil remedy that has to exist to compensate for the damages, harm, and injury that were committed, and both can exist under the current legal framework of the US. We are not asking for a program. We're asking for specific legal remedies that can happen as a multi-complainant type of scenario where each every individual gets to have their day in court, states the harm, injury that it was caused to their family generationally, whatever it may look like, and then the government needs to compensate that. We've already talked about how U.S. Code Title 31, Section 1304 is a mechanism and a structure that already exists for judgments and claims against the US for harm, injury, and damage, that the government caused, right? Which is a separate fund. Now, with the constitutionality challenge over programs is going to continue to exist because people are going to challenge their access to the program. How come, if it's a program that's established by the government, we're not able to also, as people of color, or as non-melanated persons, access the same program? Got to stop looking at programs and creating programs. We need to pursue legal remedies,
Well,
which are
that's a good dovetail into this, sis. If
okay.
I can have you switch gears
Go
for a
ahead.
second. So
Hmm.
if we look at this website, we look at objectives and expectations. I want you to continue what you're saying with the framing of looking at what we're looking at here on this website, because you were
Right.
saying that it's time
Okay.
out for talking,
Time out
basically.
for, yeah, it's time out for that.
Hmm.
And so, as you can see on the website, and one thing about I wanted to mention before we start talking about the say how to connect these dots, right? The Department of Justice can call a program racially discriminatory, saying that it violates equal protection clause of the United States Constitution because it allots different benefits on the basis of race, right? So when you have, a government, a compelling government interest, and similarly situated persons start to get this racial discrimination, equal protections, unconstitutional claims from the U.S. government. But when you have a victim, documented harm, injury, and damages that need to be paid, and as even a criminal that is stated or an actor, then that looks a lot different when seeking a legal remedy. Now, what the conference aims to achieve is structured under five core objectives. And we have to ask the question, who created the core objectives, even, right? It will transform political momentum into a common, concrete institutional commitment for reparatory justice. Well, number one, collective reflection and dialogue, in depth reflection on the resolution implications for Africans, like I said, and the people of African descent, the Africans that were part of the um, group of participants who already were financially compensated. Because if you have a trade, you're going to be compensated for handing over the people that you did.
Hold on
Now,
a second.
now,
Hold on. Look at that first one. That first one is hilarious. It's hilarious. Look at what it says though. It's right in your face, people. If we just do some Scooby Doo, do some Scooby Doo
mhm.
work right
Oh,
quick. So just take a look
no.
at it. Just take a look right quick. A platform for in-depth reflection on the resolution's implications for Africans and
And
people of
people of African
African
descent.
descent across regions. Stop right there. Regions where?
Obviously is vague on purpose. They're saying people of
Regions.
African descent
Mhm,
is their ambiguity and their
mhm.
cover term for them asking for reparations for what happened to us. Because the thing that has to exist in the law and the measurement is the place and the amount of time, the duration of time matters here, people. Regions, and you gotta stop me, brother C, because I'll start talking legalese. When we're talking about regions and generations, the duration, the time, the place, they all matter. What was codified in the United States as a system of chattel slavery is not the same for other regions. So why are you seeking a common framework?
So that you can
we
rebuild Africa.
we were we were held under a particular set of laws and rules, right? There was a particular economic benefit. There was a particular duration of time that happened to a particular people. And you're going to then clump them together under Africans and the people of African descent. Number two, global post adoption framework. So, address fragmentation by formulating a coherent, structured global post adoption framework to advance the resolution's objectives worldwide.
What are the
Okay.
objectives though?
Well, they're going to obviously, I keep saying,
They haven't said it here. Maybe they'll say it at the conference, but I haven't seen anything that says objectives yet and resolutions. So far
in,
they're just talking, basically.
in the actual resolution. And if you haven't read that, because I don't want to hold you guys, we're going to have to do a part three of this. I just wanted you to know that this conference is happening this week. Um, in the actual resolution itself that became international law, they're calling for, um, you know, uh, artifacts to be returned, financial compensation for the economic benefit, and the acknowledgement or promise of no repetition, right? So the acknowledgement or promise of no repetition. Now you have recognizing the 400 years right there. And the question then has to be, did 400 years happen globally, and to
No.
who, right? Or are they basing every single thing that they have in this resolution that became law on what happened to US chattel slavery victims?
Check that out though, that 400-year thing.
It's
Um,
interesting.
well, I mean, we was one of the ones to teach y'all about the 400-year prophecy not being appended to the time that Moses was in that land, but how that was talking to us here now, the time that our ancestors wanted to see come to fruition. So why is it that this pops up here? This popped up with Trump, and Trump did his thing back in 2019 that a lot of people gloss over when he acknowledged what he acknowledged about the 400 years. HR, I forget whatever it was. I don't remember the name, but we have it in several of our videos. Matter of fact, we have it in our second Exodus videos.
And whatever came from that, right? The 400-year commemoration
okay.
that he signed into place, and certain activities were supposed to take place, but shortly thereafter, COVID. And so technically nothing came of it.
Okay. So let's throw the blame. If we ask the question, if you were to ask me the question, what became of it? My response would be the Boule Bobs and Boule Bettys didn't do nothing about it, because those are your black leaders. That's your black leadership. The NAACP, NAN, Black Action Network, Justice League of America, or who is that? Marvel Comics and them. That's your black leaders, right? Marvel Comics.
Mm-hmm.
Marvel Comics, the leader for black people, or is it DC? Or is it some mess that brother Cleo made up? It could be that though. When you think
so if y'all want to look that up, it's under HR 1242, called 400 Years of African American History Commission Act, done by the 115th Congress. Okay. I would say go look it up. Also, go look at the CBO cost estimates, right? And the constitutional authority statements. We can go into that um, next time if you want, Brother C, to look a little further into it. But if you look at it, the people watching will look at it individually. You'll be able to see what actions took place and what didn't happen. Now, the way that this had became law, and then obviously COVID, you know, sometimes you guys have to realize when things become public law, they don't actually get carried out or implemented until the following year or within 2 years of that thing being signed into law. Okay. So you could look at it yourself. Definitely that 117th Congress took place between 2017 and 2018. Every Congress has a number, right? So just that's what it means. 115th, that's the amount of times they've convened annually number. But you see right here those frameworks. And then number 3, conference report, generate a comprehensive outcome document serving as additional input for the UN Secretary's report to the 82nd General Assembly session. Now, we've talked about this upcoming General Assembly session and how we need to have our, you know, stated on the record opposition to being clumped in and represented by the AU or any other of these state governing bodies, even the Boule here, and our ability to speak for ourselves. Also, that we are not in agreement with the United States, no vote, and those reasons why. Okay. So if you understand the way that the General Assembly meetings come up, these people are preparing for that next meeting that will take place The 82nd session of the UN General Assembly will convene in September of 2027. The 2026 sessions are the 80th year. Okay. Yeah, you check that schedule. There's also going to be meetings coming up this year where other reparations conversations will be had about creating an economic dashboard and research to evaluate the costs, right? And that will be coming up in September. And then there's going to be another session in November. Now, we have already created a template and submissions that every single person that has an issue with not being able to have their day in court, have testimony, provide evidence of their experiences, and and their ability to speak for themselves can go and fill out. Now, if you don't care about the NAACP and the AU and any other person that wants to claim you, representing you, do nothing. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna beg people to do what they need to do for themselves. Okay. And I'm just jumping straight to this because this is the beginning. It's not the end. It's the beginning, saying that we have to be recognized as a unique and distinguishable group of people whose claims have not been heard. We're in opposition to any stated on the record or claimed representation of our plight. And we are also in opposition to the legal framing of the United States government saying that they are not accountable for things that didn't exist in international law at the time that they had slaves, because that's their legal framing. We didn't do anything wrong. We can't be called criminals because there was no international law that existed at the time we held slaves, and there wasn't a body to hold us accountable. I call that a lie. Okay. Um, and then obviously, the global patterns, and then that advisory panel on reparatory justice, they're getting together so that then they can then take their stuff back to the UN and have it codified in a more formal way, saying, here's what we agree on. All these 80 countries and representatives are going to be the same people that are going to vote again. And they're going to obviously say yes, because they're all meeting up to to stage their events ahead of time.
Look at the panel.
Number
They got a panel on number 4. Look at that. And
Yeah,
that should be
reparatory justice.
well, look, number 4, the reparatory justice, but expert panel on restitution of cultural artifacts.
That's what I'm saying, right? You got to look at the small print. I don't care if you got to bring your magnifying glass out.
Wow.
There's some very tactful things happening, and they're happening at a rapid lightning speed.
Yeah.
And why do you think it is? Because when they walked away from voting on that reparations law in March, they did not expect 8 days later the United States descendants of chattel slavery, who you call Afro-American, African-American, Negroes, colored, Black, whatever you want to say, right? To change our names and identities from who we really are, to then respond with formal codified submissions back to the UN saying, wait, hold up, pump your brakes, y'all lying. This is not going to go down in the way that you actually believe. And so ever since we have started submitting our formal opposition on the record, they've been moving quick, y'all.
Yeah,
All praises and glory and honor to the Father for showing me these things in the midnight hour.
Yes. They trying to play TikTok. The game is locked. You niggers cannot play. And when I say you niggers, I'm not talking about the people in Africa. I'm not talking about the people in the Caribbean, because all of them say, me no black, I'm not black. They'll run to that every chance they get. I'm talking about FBA. I'm talking about ADOS. I'm talking about DUSCS. I'm talking about the colored. I'm talking about the Negro. What you got? Look on your birth certificate and see what your birth certificates say. Some of y'all say it got colored on there, which the nation colored, where has that ever existed at? The nation Negro,
Some of us got that on our birth certificate, where your mama and your pappy and your mammy was both Negro. Wasn't it where? Show me where the nation Negro is at, and don't point to
Mm.
Negro land and that's in the middle of Africa. Don't point there. If you wanted to, you could, but I'm kind of giving you out. But I'm not giving. Where is the nation Negro at? Exists today? Because these wicked Indians will tell you, why don't you go back to where you came from? Well, what if I was one of the ones that was already here? What if I was one of our people that was already in this land that got shipped out? A quarter of them you shipped out, a quarter of them you killed, a quarter of them you enslaved, and a quarter of them you chased south. What about those people? Which was Israelites, by the way. I don't care if you came on the ship and you met your brother that was already there. Okay, we brother and sister. What about them? So yeah, and so if we're looking at the website right now, you see it in red writing, it says be proactive. Family, you have more control over not only the construct, but more control over not only your life and the construct, but more control and power than what you realize. Case in point, this current Asian boycott.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know the flex is real, right?
Mm-hmm.
When our people with its 2 trillion, I'm sorry, forgive me, Father, our 2 trillion plus GDP want to flex, guess what's going to happen? Everybody need to sit their monkey ass down. When we decide that we want to boycott and do something and that we want to be proactive, like the red writing says, be proactive, then guess what happened? Everybody lay down. And so we're at a different time on the prophetic spectrum.
Yeah.
And it's time out for everybody standing on the sidelines, looking at each other, waiting for the great pumpkin Charlie Brown to pop out the sky and save you. It's time out for waiting on the rapture. It's time out for even prescribing to the broad gate that has 50,000 denominations of Christianity. That's 50,000 different programs and pogroms to destroy your mind. Because you can't find no Christian in that book nowhere.
Right.
If you can find a precept where it names the person, give me their name, rank, and serial number. Show me the precept where you can find where Mashiach called himself that. Show me a precept in the Tanakh or the Torah where they called themselves that. Books say where they were first called that byword, just like you were called nigger, in Antioch. Mashiach had already left the scene. So you got a false religion, which is the broad gate that leads to destruction. Point blank, period. I'm going to get off my soapbox.
No, we're good because I don't want to hold the people too long. I don't want people falling off the wall and us having to revive them. So I just want you to go to the actual back to the website, and as you not that one, the one where we have the documents at. As you can see, you're going to go visit theboldauthority.com. We repeat this over and over. You can go through each tab, go like click on the legal definitions. Okay, there's information, right? Submissions that have already been put in formally. Um, there's links. We have not. We're going to share some links there. Downloads, obviously, FAQ, you're going to have all of that. Now, here is the submission template if you wanted to go to it, right? This is the one that you can utilize and submit to the UN. I said this last week. If you want to highlight the email address, I had people contacting me and letting me know that they filled out their submission and they got a bounce back email saying that the inbox of the UN was full. Send it again. Okay. Don't just allow the bounce back email to discourage you, because I have no idea how many times a day it's checked. I don't know why it would be full, but send it again. This is the formal way that you're to send this type of submission. Okay. Now, if you have any questions, bring them to our weekly chats here. I might not be able to cover everything, but we will in a subsequent live cover it. We have no problem doing that, but we have to share this information with other people unless they're okay with the AU, the Congressional Black Caucus,
CARICOM.
and the NAACP and CARICOM and every other nation having a say about what happened, who's going to be reparated, who was the victim, who was the perpetrator, and what is the remedy. Type of artifacts are they talking about? They haven't even talked to us.
Maybe they got the Ark of the Covenant.
You know what, brother? See, I'm not going to do this today.
All right, I'm done messing with you.
They
I'm
done
done
found
messing with
Noah's
them
Ark.
too.
They can't even touch the
They
Ark of
can't
the
touch the Ark of
Covenant.
the Covenant. They get turned to. They better watch that Indiana Jones movie.
Right. They can't
Got them
even touch
Nazis
it.
touching on the Ark and what happened to them.
And so I understand that these weekly, the Descendants weekly discussions are law heavy. I understand that it's introducing information or material or words that you may not have seen before and you may not still fully understand. But this is where it's at in the discourse globally. These are the legal things and the frameworks that are happening right now. And so we are just going to have to use this time to catch up and do what we need to do. One thing about us is that we always are going to do what we need to do, and the Father is going to expand and multiply that. But being proactive, like we started this conversation, using your talents, your ability, not being a sluggard, taking an example from the ant, doing the greater work, it starts with you. You have to show up and put your foot forward for the greater works. It's not going to just, you know, you're not a puppet, right? You see how the puppet master has strings on the arms and the legs and the feet of the puppets. I hope you're not waiting for that kind of action to take place. You put your best foot forward. Don't bury your talent because that's evil. Okay. And with that being said, we'll pick up the rest of this discussion. So we'll probably be doing a part 3 because we'll see what kind of reports came out of their convening and Juneteenth celebration at the slave castle. How insulting is that, right?
Definitely a slap in the face. So, family, here's what's important is that, and I keep saying this, don't worry about propping up Salt of the Earth Productions. What's important is the information that we are sharing and that we're putting into what is called the ether, aka the spiritual realm. Nobody else is doing this work on the earth right now. If you can point to me a channel, YouTube or otherwise, that's doing this work, this type of work, point me to them. We as so-called Black people or Israelites should be ashamed of ourselves that we're not supporting this work like how we should be. And so my prayer is that the Father open up all of FBA, ADOS, Israelite, Moor, Black atheists, Black nationalists, any organization that you can come up with, that they open their mind and that they receive the information and they become proactive and not just reactive, because that's always our thing. We're always react to something instead of being proactive. Right now, all of these moves are in reaction, believe it or not, to the work that has already been done, that we have done here and that the sister has done. So she got them on the run.
Right.
Y'all don't even recognize that. The earth doesn't even recognize it. But you know who does? The Black Boule recognizes it. The NAACP recognizes it. NAN recognizes it. And the Congressional Black Talkers recognize it. But now our people need to recognize the importance of this. If you don't move, if you don't get off your tail and do the greater works, then guess what? Y'all gonna be talking another 20 years later. I know I'm not, but y'all
I'm
gonna
not
be
about to
talking
be talking because I know how to codify everything. And you,
not only that, but we could easily go the Little Red Hen route, and Little Red Hen
right.
is one of my book, my favorite book. Did you help me pick the wheat? Did you help me sift the wheat? Did you help me bake the wheat? Well, if you ain't did none of that, then surely when we break bread, you're not gonna be eating. Surely. So we're gonna leave y'all with that. We're gonna come back next week and we're gonna
Avery, I want to address something. Avery, you put a lot of information in the comments, and I appreciate you giving your narrative about who we are, and you know, your mom and your dad being a part of special forces. That's
Wow.
exactly the kind of paragraph that needs to go in that submission,
Wow.
right?
Wow. I
Because
didn't even see that till you brought that to my attention.
your dad serving as a special forces vet, intelligence teams used him for deep cover, and then him getting stuck in the place where he's you know, in special forces. That's harm, injury, damage. Okay. So if you are a descendant of U.S. chattel slavery, and you know your lineage, obviously, because you're put these things in the chat, I want to use it as an example. This is the kind of stuff that you need to write on that submission so that it can be codified and nobody could never say it didn't happen. Not as if it's going to work anyway, because the people that are at the table are not credible authorities of anything, but trying to still kill and destroy. This is how we counteract the stated narratives, right? So I appreciate you putting it here so we can see that example. But also, I encourage you to go to theboldauthority.com, get that template, put this information on there where it says, how have you been, you know, affected, and send that by email to the UN. We're going to make noise. They're not going to be able to go into the next session clean without our opposition stated on the record. And soon they're not going to be able to ignore us.
Man,
Sorry, Brother C, go
Avery,
ahead.
no. I was going to say Avery of PA. That's an interesting declaration. Your father was a bad man, according to what you just wrote, because not only did he had to go against the enemy, but he also had to fight within. My dad, I'll call him Dad. He was in World War II, and he would share some of the horror stories that, well, wasn't horror stories to them, because them brothers back then was a different breed, even more different than us. But they had to go through hell, because not only were they fighting the Krauts Nazis, they was also fighting the Krauts within the U.S. as well. So they was fighting on two fronts, being called a nigger by the people that you serve next to, that you got a gun in your hand next to them. You storming the beach before them, and then they call you nigger when you get back to it. So your dad was a bad dude, man. He was a bad man, point blank, period. So we're gonna end this conversation. We're gonna pick it up next week, sis. I appreciate you. Thanks for coming on. And before I get ready to exit out, I need to get some. Y'all know I'm not as slow as I used to be. I'm actually picking it back up. So we'll be back next week. And again, this has been another Salt of the Earth Productions.